Look at her, she's spittin' nerdy. Look at her, she's spittin' nerdy. Can't you see she's spittin' nerdy? Look at her, she's spittin' nerdy.
Hello, good morning to my lovely friends. Today is the Saturday before Easter, which means it has literally been exactly 2 years since I started my very first intentional 16-hour fast to kick off my first intermittent fasting experiment. And let me tell you, the way that I intermittent fast now is very, very different from how I did it 2 years ago. So I thought today it'd be fun to kind of just go through intermittent fasting, my experience with it over the last 2 years, how it has helped me, ways that it has made making progress more difficult for me, and all of that good stuff. But it's almost 2 p.m. It's time to break my fast right now. I didn't plan on fasting this long again today, but you know, things just happen as they always do. So, gonna go break my fast right now because A, I'm hungry, B, it's 2 p.m. and I need to eat 2,500 calories today, so that's gonna be a little bit difficult. We'll talk about that later. And C, I want to break my fast. So we're gonna go break my fast. To break my fast today, I just made my go-to post-workout adaptogenic latte. I started with a base of cashew milk. I used some Primal Kitchen chocolate collagen, a little bit of creatine, some cacao powder to, you know, make it a hot chocolate because that is my fave. Added some cinnamon just for a little bit of spice, a little bit of kick, some cacao butter to make it smooth and rich and creamy, and also just to increase the healthy fats and increase the calories to help me hit my 2,500 calorie goal for the day. And then lastly, for adaptogens, I used some astragalus. I have been experimenting with some liquid versions of adaptogens lately, working on something that I think you guys are gonna like quite a lot, but I've started looking into the herb farm adaptogens. They're basically just like liquid forms of the adaptogens rather than in powders. I've talked about astragalus before, so I won't go into it in detail, but basically it's a really good immune supporter. It's really good at supporting overall energy as well as just overall bodily function as adaptogens do. As with most of my adaptogens, I got this on Thrive Market. Thrive Market is basically like Costco, but for healthy foods. They're an online marketplace that aims to make healthy living easy and affordable for everyone. And you guys know, like, I talk about adaptogens all the time. If you looked into them, I'm sure you know how expensive they can be, and Thrive Market makes them so much more affordable. Being a member of Thrive Market allows you to shop for thousands of best-selling organic natural products up to 30% off their retail price, and that includes adaptogens. 30% off retail price. I mean, probably not all of them are all 30% off, but they're all very discounted and it's amazing. Just for perspective, these are some of the adaptogens that I've bought through Thrive Market with their original retail price and the price on Thrive Market. As you can see, it makes a huge difference. Ashwagandha was literally the reason I got a Thrive Market membership like 2 years ago, because I really wanted to incorporate more ashwagandha into my life, but it was so expensive. I was like, okay, we're gonna join Thrive Market and then we're gonna have discounted ashwagandha for the rest of ever. Totally worth it, in my humble opinion. Thankfully, now that Thrive Market noticed me and I'm working with them, I can give you guys an even better deal. If you click the link in the description, you get a 30-day free trial of Thrive Market plus an extra 25% off your first order. So that's 25% off the like already discounted prices. And you don't only have to use Thrive Market for adaptogens. That's just what I think the biggest perk is. They also have like everything from non-GMO snacks to vitamins to supplements to personal care products to eco-friendly cleaning supplies, non-toxic beauty products, lots of other things. So you don't only have to buy adaptogens, but if you're looking to get into adaptogens, this is your chance to get them cheap. And lastly, they do have the Thrive Gives initiative, which is a really great program where for every membership purchased, they give a free membership to a veteran, teacher, or a family in need so that everyone can have access to organic, natural foods. Anyway, I have been using Thrive for years, so I definitely recommend you go click that little link in my description to go get yourself some discounted great food. But now back to my post-workout adaptogenic latte and why I choose to break my fast with it. I don't necessarily think this is like the best way possible to physically break your fast, especially if you're fasting for particular health issues. Like if you actually are insulin resistant and intermittent fasting to help improve that, there are slightly better options. If you're an elite athlete that's maybe training again later in the day, there are definitely better options. This is just what I have found works best for me, makes me feel really good, and it helps me get in the ingredients that I want to get into my body first thing when I break my fast. It does include adaptogens. I do love taking some adaptogen at the beginning of the day just to kind of start my day off right, get my body what it needs to be balanced. Like if I wake up more stressed, I'll probably probably take something like reishi or tulsi, something that will help calm down my stress levels. If I feel like I could use a bit of an energy boost, then I'll take something like cordyceps or astragalus. And then I also really started to commit to this post-workout adaptogenic latte when I started my reverse diet, because I wanted to be taking creatine consistently, and I only have creatine in powder form. I don't really know what else to put it in. I suppose I could make smoothies. When I do make smoothies to break my fast, I do put the creatine in the smoothies, but this is just, it's so much easier to just kind of get in what I need to get in post-workout all in one little drink. Also, I don't know if I've actually mentioned this before, but I do feel like starting out my day with something sweet that kind of satisfies my sweet tooth at the beginning of the day helps me stay on track for the rest of the day. Like, this legit, at least to me, like tastes like a slightly healthier version of hot chocolate. Like, I feel like I am indulging and like I'm not restricting myself. Like, I'm not finishing my workout and then I have to have chicken and rice. Like, I get to have freaking hot chocolate, and so I feel really good. I don't feel restricted, and that just keeps me in a really good mindset for the rest of the day, to feel like if I do only have chicken and rice for the rest of the day, well, I already had my indulgent hot chocolate. Like, I'm good to go. I don't only eat chicken and rice during the day, but you know, just as an example. So while my post-workout adaptogenic lattes are not necessarily optimized to get the maximal benefits out of the intermittent fasting process, they are optimized for me and my body and what I need and what I need mentally, just to make me feel really good. Now that I've started chatting about intermittent fasting, I realize I actually have a lot to say about this because I haven't really sat down and talked about it in a while. So I think I'm just gonna hit some key points today and maybe make a part 2 so this video is like 45 minutes long. But in the meantime, well, let's go sit down because I have a feeling I'm gonna be here for a while. It was also really freaking hot in the kitchen, so I needed to get out of there. Is that, nope, that's too low. I just took a little intermission to go make some Birch Benders Paleo Toaster Waffles because why not? I'm trying to film, not trying to take a huge break and make a huge breakfast. So, I'm gonna snack on these. I started intermittent fasting 2 years ago because that's when the discussion about it really picked up. Everyone started talking about it and I was like, huh, that sounds interesting. So I started looking into it, looking into all the different health benefits, and I will admit that back then I was so ignorant about it compared to where I am now and my understanding of it now, but I was still very intrigued and I was in the process of learning about it, and so I wanted to experiment with it and try it out. As soon as I started intermittent fasting, I pretty much loved it. If you watched my I tried intermittent fasting for 2 weeks video that I first made when I first started intermittent fasting, you'll know that I struggled with it a little bit, mostly because my floor mate decided to give me chocolate in the middle of the night twice. Shout out to Jessica if you're watching this. But I was able to stick to it pretty well, and the longer and longer I did it, the better I felt and the more energized I felt while I was fasting. And it just seemed to work really well with my body, with my lifestyle, also with my school schedule. It somehow fit in amazingly well. And so I ended up sticking pretty rigidly, although I would say not obsessively, to the 16-8 intermittent fasting split for quite a while. And in that time, I learned a ton about my body, and it also kind of helped me reframe my relationship with food. Before I started intermittent fasting, I wouldn't say addicted to food, but it was really difficult for me to not reach for food when I was bored, to resist any sort of food that was put in front of me. Like, if you had been like, here Marissa, have a plate of food, I would have been like, okay, and eaten it all no matter what time of the day it was, even if I'd already eaten as much as I needed to eat for that day. But when I started intermittent fasting, it kind of forced me to take a step back and really analyze these behaviors and look at what my body really needed versus what it just wanted. It helped me understand the difference between hunger and cravings, and it really helped me draw a line with late night snacking, because that was something that I did all of the time and something that probably was not helping my health goals at all, because usually, you know, when you snack late at night, it's not usually, you know, carrots and hummus. It's probably like chocolate and things that are not so great for you. It allowed me to have kind of a separation between myself and food, where if there was food in front of me outside my eating window, I could look at it and say, well, it's not time to eat, so I don't need to eat it. And I was immediately able to shut down those cravings just because it was not an option, or I didn't let myself look at it as an option to just eat whatever whenever. It helped me shut off that drive to want to constantly be eating, and that drive to constantly be eating was definitely not coming from a place of restriction. Before I started intermittent fasting, I was definitely eating enough. Like, I wasn't hungry wanting to eat all the time. I just constantly craved food, constantly thought about food, and as soon as I started intermittent fasting, I was able to stop that. This might sound really dumb and obvious, but it kind of helped me realize that if I have a craving, I don't have to give in to that craving. Like, I don't have to go eat the Rice Krispie that I know is downstairs just because I want the Rice Krispie. I will not die. The world's not gonna end, and that Rice Krispie is still probably gonna be there tomorrow. So I ended up graduating college, going back home, and started taking jobs in film production because that was my like dream job, and still I think kind of probably, yeah, is my dream job. But I started taking odd jobs here and there in film production that lasted anywhere from 3 days to like 3 weeks. And the thing with film production is the hours can be very, very weird because the hours are weird, and because you also get fed at specific times, and if you don't eat those meals at those times, like, you're kind of screwed out of food. I had to start becoming a lot more relaxed about my intermittent fasting schedule, and that wasn't any sort of challenge for me to stop intermittent fasting and just eat when I was given food, because I don't know, I have a good relationship with food, good relationship with fasting, and so it wasn't a big deal for me to like stop fasting, but it did force me to stop fasting and to adjust my schedule accordingly. So on days and weeks that I wasn't on set, I was still basically fasting 16 hours a day, and then whenever I was on set, I would just eat when I was given food. And then last November, I ended up going to Alabama for a longer movie shoot, and I think it was like a 3-week-long shoot that started in November and ended in December, and that's when my sleep schedule got extremely messed up. It went from sleeping at night to literally sleeping during the day and then going to set at night. So clearly intermittent fasting, not super practical, not like worth the time or the effort to stick to any sort of regular schedule. And it was kind of after those few weeks on set that I really started to be more relaxed with my approach to intermittent fasting. I stopped making concrete efforts to fast for 16 hours a day. Most days I was still fasting 16 hours a day because my body was used to it, and I felt really good doing it. I've never really been a breakfast person. I've never really been hungry when I woke up in the morning, and so it's always been very natural for me to fast for at least 12 hours every single day. And so I was still intermittent fasting, but I wasn't like, you know, looking at my watch when I stopped eating and then waiting until like exactly 16 hours later to break my fast. I more just kind of went with the flow and allowed myself to fast for 16 hours. If I wasn't hungry, maybe I would fast for 18 hours. If I got hungry at 14 hours, I would maybe break my fast closer to 14 hours. And that's kind of how I have approached it ever since. I listen to my body and I break my fast when I'm hungry. Usually this leads to me fasting between 14 and 16 hours pretty much every day. On very rare days, I will feel hungry when I wake up. Don't know why, maybe poor sleep, maybe I was extra stressed the day before, maybe I didn't eat enough the day before, whatever the reason, if I wake up hungry, I listen to my body and I will eat. And that will usually be closer to about a 12-hour fast if that happens, because I do try to make a conscious effort to stop eating a couple hours before I go to bed, because eating too close to when you go to sleep can actually interfere with your sleep process and your brain's ability to clear out all the junk that it does when you're sleeping. So right now my approach to intermittent fasting is very much intuitive. It's like intuitive fasting. Is that a thing? Let's make it a thing. Intuitive fasting is now a thing. I do get a lot of questions from people about whether or not I personally have noticed any drawbacks to fasting, because a lot of women do experience some negative hormonal issues due to fasting. I personally have not experienced any downsides to fasting. That is not to say that there aren't some. That is not to say that some women definitely shouldn't fast because it clearly messes with their hormones. For me, I have like zero issues with fasting. My body appears to absolutely love it, and I am listening carefully to my body. If for some reason I start going back to fasting 16 hours a day more strictly, and I notice that like my sleep is suffering, my menstruation becomes irregular, I start getting random acne, or my skin starts being really weird, like any symptoms of hormonal dysregulation, I will stop fasting. But as far as I can tell, it's been 2 years, and so far, nothing. So I think my body likes it. The only drawback that I have experienced is basically on this reverse diet. It is a struggle to fast while on a reverse diet. I would be so much better off if I could just wake up, eat, and then go to the gym and then eat more. But as I said, I feel so much better training when I train fasting. And so I almost like accidentally fast every single day. I'm not fasting on purpose. Like if I felt good enough to eat in the morning and go to the gym, I would be doing that. But because I feel so much better training fasted and I want to maximize my training sessions, I kind of end up fasting anyway. And because I'm in a surplus, a constant surplus, and constantly forcing food down my throat, fasting does make this very challenging. Like trying to eat all of my calories in a shorter window makes it more difficult. But in the long run, like this is just how my schedule is working. It does seem to be working fine. I did do a little body update this morning just to compare where I was 2 years ago to where I am now. And to be fair, I don't think it's a super good comparison considering I have been actively trying to gain weight these last like 10 weeks. And so I'm clearly like in a much different place than I even was 10 weeks ago, but I still did it. So here's the side by side. As you can see, I definitely have gained a little bit of fat. I am nowhere near as lean as I was 2 years ago, but again, I am reverse dieting. I have gained, I think, 5-ish pounds, 4 or 5 pounds in the last 10 weeks. So it's not the most fair comparison, but I am 10 pounds heavier than I was 2 years ago. I definitely think I have a ton more muscle than I did 2 years ago. As you can see, despite the fact that I am 10 pounds heavier, you can still see that I have abs. Like, they are not nearly as defined as they were 2 years ago, but they're still there. And once I lose this fat that I've gained on this reverse diet, I do think I'm actually gonna end up potentially looking even more abtacular than I did. I'm sorry, I won't say that again. So moving forward from here, I plan to just keep doing what I've been doing, apply intuitive fasting, and just kind of fast when I feel like it, eat if I need to. I do think that I will potentially add in some more strict intermittent fasting when I do go into my cut, just because I find that, you know, if I'm not hungry in the morning, I might as well extend that out as long as possible when I'm trying to be in a deficit, because that'll make it easier to eat less. But other than that, I'm enjoying what I'm doing now. I feel really good. My body seems to be responding really well to it, so we're gonna keep doing it. And so that's kind of where I'm at with fasting 2 years after starting my little intermittent fasting experiment. If you do have any questions, want me to talk about anything more in depth, please let me know. I did not realize how much I really actually have to say about this until I started filming this video. In the meantime, please do give this video a big thumbs up, because it really does support me and my channel, and I really genuinely appreciate it. Please hit that subscribe button for more videos from me. Hit the notification button so you don't miss those videos from me. I will link some fasting related content over here for you to check out, so make sure you go do that, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.